I am an outlaw. Well, no, not a gun-slinging, cattle-rustling kind of outlaw. I'm a suburban outlaw. And last spring, I went for a walk, but not through a suburban garden. No, I went for a walk through the Arab Spring. Now, have you ever found yourself somewhere, anywhere, maybe on the other side of the world and wondered, how did I get here? And more important, why am I here? Well, this is me in my abaya in a mall in Saudi Arabia. And when I got there in April 2011, I expected to find riots in the streets, but instead I found myself on a journey of meaning and connection, ending in a spiritual epiphany in the surprising place of a family room in suburban Jeddah. So how did I get to here from here? That's me in my suburban cornfield. Yes, I moved here 10 years ago. I cried for about 3 of them because I thought that when I moved here, my life would be all about paying taxes, moving to Florida, and dying. And not necessarily in that order. When we moved from Washington, D.C., I was leading what I like to call my downtown black urban leather life as an actor. I had started my career as an attorney, but I didn't think that I could actually do that in real life, so I went to law school instead. And when I realized what a soul-sucking profession I had entered into, I decided to lead a double life. So I would run from auditions to depositions until finally my law firm went out of business. And I thought, oh, I'm going to pursue the more secure profession of being an actor. No, and at first, it was a great life. I was profiled in People magazine as being somebody who ditched her day job to pursue her dreams. And the gritty theaters of DC's 14th Street corridor became my creativity pulpit. And at first, it was great because when your dream becomes a job, well, I hate to say it, it becomes a job. You have to show up on time, know your lines, not bump into the furniture, and suddenly it's not so dreamy anymore. So while I'm pursuing what I thought was my dream, my husband decides to move his business to the Finger Lakes to an old army depot, and I came kicking and screaming, knowing that I would have to find fulfillment someplace else. But I didn't think I could find it in my suburban cornfield because all I would find there would be suburban sameness and it would be devoid of meaning and connection, and that I would only meet desperate grocery shopping, carpooling robots who were being lulled into submission by all the frappuccinos they were drinking at Starbucks, sorry. But when I finally lowered my urban snob defenses, I do want to say that when I moved here, Wegmans, I shopped here so much, it became my cathedral of hope. But I finally lowered those snob defenses and I started meeting, interesting men and women who were leading their lives and they were dreaming big dreams and they were making a difference in their community. And so when I was asked to write a column for the newspaper, I said, I want to call it The Suburban Outlaw. It came to me in a dream. And I want to share the stories of other outlaws and my story of people who were making new rules instead of following old ones, who were blowing apart my stereotype of what I thought a suburbanite was. People who had an edge because they explored, they dreamed, they grow, and they excite. And my new mission became spreading my edge beyond the cornfield and sharing their stories and helping other outlaws pursue their dreams and helping businesses share their stories with the passion of an outlaw. My new religion became storytelling with an edge. And I was asked to speak all over the world. I went from Milwaukee to Miami. I went from Toledo to Toronto, from Syracuse to Sydney. And then I was asked to speak in North Africa, in Morocco. And I will say I was intimidated. They kept asking me, what is this outlaw that you are? And I'm like, they're not going to let me in the country. But I didn't think they would understand my humor. But when I got there, I got out of the Casablanca airport and I looked up in the sun. There were these 4 huge billboards of all the actual desperate housewives hawking McMansions in suburban Casablanca. And I'm like, I'm going to be fine. But I was more than fine. I learned so much by the stories that were shared that night. I heard the story of one outlaw, a paraplegic, who had always dreamed of building the first and only rehabilitation hospital in all of North Africa. And the next day, I got to visit her dream come true. And I started to realize that all over the world, people are searching for meaning and fulfillment, but instead of doing it from a cornfield, they're doing it in a desert. So the next year, when I was asked to speak in the Middle East, Lebanon, Oman, and Saudi Arabia, I said, sure. And then I got scared because, well, why? I'm an American. I'm an American woman. I'm an American Jewish woman. And I thought, in my head, I saw pictures of war-torn Beirut. I saw the religious police. And in January of 2011, when I booked the trip, I couldn't have imagined what was coming in April, riots in the streets and the change of regimes. But when I got there, it was a different story. I met Arab business leaders who wanted to tell their stories with employees for perhaps the first time, and their employees were so grateful. I met women business leaders who were changing their country with their leadership. I met the first woman lawyer to hang up a shingle in Oman. Beirut, urbane. Oman was magical. And Saudi Arabia, okay, it was repressed. But even though I had to wear the abaya by day, I got to wear sequins by night. So my last night, I was very tired. I was flying to Jeddah, the Miami of Saudi Arabia. There's palm trees and beach houses. And in the plane, people started shedding their clothes and putting on these blankets because they were taking the holy Hajj, the pilgrimage to Mecca. It was like me and this guy from Long Island on the plane. I'm like, what are they doing? And he explained it to me. And I went to Jeddah, and I was whisked away in my car. And after my program, 2 men came up to me. One man said, we would like you to spend the day with our family. We want you to come with us to our beach house. And I was like, oh, that sounds good, except I forgot I was wearing an abaya, right? And this other guy says, I will take you to the holy city of Mecca. And all I could think was, don't you have to actually be Muslim to go there? And before I could say anything, he goes, it's okay, I'll convert you. And all of a sudden, I'm being asked to believe in something else, but before I could answer, the other guy comes up and says, Muhammad, she's coming with us to the beach. And I couldn't have known then that by making really what I thought was the shallower choice to go to the beach, that I would have this amazing, almost religious experience. Because the next day, he drove me around and shared his family time with me and showed me his city, and we ended up at that beach house. And as the sun was setting, we started sharing our hopes and our dreams and our stories. And we talked about peace between our people and our hopes for our children. And he said to me, excuse me, I must pray. And as the sun began to set, I thought he was going to go in another room, right? Like go to the prayer room. But instead, he took out a small prayer rug and began praying right there. So at first it was a little awkward. I didn't know what to do. But then when I finally gave myself over to the quiet and the murmur of his voice, I realized I had flown halfway across the world so that I could have this moment with this man, this Muslim man, as he was communicating directly with his God. So I had been searching for meaning in cornfields and theaters and even grocery stores. When meaning can happen in any family room anywhere, if we would just listen to the people that are with us. I think we're all searching for personal meaning and fulfillment, and we change our jobs and we move our cities to find it. But I think meaning and connection happens when we connect to the people in our lives and we share our stories. So I hope that you'll go on your own journey to the edge and you'll explore meaning and connections. And you'll dream, and Share your dreams out loud, because what is a dream but a story that just hasn't happened yet? And that you'll grow spiritually, both at home and far away, and that you'll excite by igniting passion for something in your communities, in your families, and in yourself. Because suburbia doesn't suck you dry. You do it to yourself. And meaning isn't always found in a place or in a job or even a temple or a mosque. It's found when we make a connection, one person and one story at a time. One that you might hear today from someone you're sitting next to that you don't know, or one that you heard from an outlaw who lives in a cornfield. Thank you.